Hey, it's Jeff. Alpha Charts with a stocks to watch video. Today is September 10th, 2023. Before we get started, this video is for informational purposes only. These are not recommendations to buy, sell, or hold any stock or security. I may hold positions in some of the equities mentioned. Know your time frame and risk tolerance. Thank you all for watching my video. If you haven't done so yet, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That really does help me a lot and keeps this a free video each and every week. Also, if you catch me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365, I've talked about my subscription in the past. Obviously, each week I talk about that. Um, just idea to kind of, it's about 34 cents a day, right? For the subscription, $10 a month. And the amount of time that this will save you, in my opinion, is immense. How much is that time worth to you, right? Is it worth 33 cents a day? I share all of my research with you all through the subscription model. So again, it's $10 a month. The time saving is immense, and if you don't like it, you can always cancel. Super easy to do, right? It's 1 month at a time. So go check me out on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. That's it right there. I'm always posting some pretty good stuff. But again, if you want to become a subscriber, you get direct access and you get again, an immense amount of content to save you. Again, time that you could be spent, with your families, you have jobs, all that kind of stuff. This is the way to marry the two together, be able to trade markets and not be stretched for time and stressed out and everything else. So consider that at Alpha Charts 365. Subscribe. All right. S&P 500 SPY is the proxy. We have that significant lower high right here, but we have a significant higher low right here and here. So now we have kind of this choppy in between. Let's see what is potentially setting up. First one is AFRM. I have about a dozen names for y'all today. Here's a firm that had a very good run here. Now it's kind of at the top of its range. You can see again, this was one that was a high flyer. It was up to 170, dropped all the way down to 9, right? And now it's trying to base out. And we'll see what it does here. It may need a little bit of time to let these moving averages catch up, but so far it's doing a pretty good job of it. And again, it's at a point of inflection. If you can move sideways or just drift down a little bit over the week and then move higher, that would be very positive. DKNG, DraftKings, you had again, it was a high flyer, dropped all the way down, and now it is trying to base out. You can even pull this over here. By the way, I'm using DeepView as my charting platform today. If you're interested in DeepView, go to deepview.com. Okay, and you see how it made just these flags as it keeps moving higher. Then you had this area right here. It did come back, retest the breakout. And now it's again in this range. I'm starting to see a little volume come in, right? Love how these moving averages are starting to set up bullshit again. Yeah, maybe a little bit ahead of itself, but a nice little pullback. Maybe fill this little tiny. Is there a gap there? No gap there. But maybe come back and pull back just a little bit and then break out. And that would be the bullish scenario, right? Something like this and then that, right? That would be bullish. So these moving averages catch up, align bullishly, yada, yada, yada. Next up is snow. So snow is coming around. It's not quite there yet. You did have a trend line break kind of here, right? That's kind of like a trend-ish trend line. You like a little bit more touches. Maybe it's more like that. That was a false breakout. Then you get a few. You get 1, 2, and 3. Right, gap above it. There's your 50-day. It's starting to do it. I think it needs more work, but this is definitely one I want to watch because, like all the other ones, this was a high flyer, came back, and now it's basing. And you can see here the higher lows that are kind of forming on the chart. And we'll see if it, listen, if it come back up here and test 200 again, that's a decent move, right? Again, I love this gap right here. Gaps make me happy, right? It shows there's a lot of power behind the name, and that's what Snow has. CRWD, a lot of cybersecurity names are looking good. This is CrowdStrike. You had this move higher. you have this sideways consolidation, and then there's your earnings, and it never came back and never closed this gap. And now you have this 200-day that's starting to turn from flat to rising, as well as bullishly aligned moving averages. Again, doing everything right and in a great sector that seems like it's really moving higher. What else? DoorDash. Here is DoorDash. Again, I like these newer IPO names. A lot of them that came out in 2020 and 2021 got smashed. This went from 250-ish all the way down to 40, right? And then it based, and then it broke out, came back. This is the retest, and started to move higher. Now you do have a lower high here, but then you have a significant low right there. So again, look about risk versus reward. If this can use this $80 as a significant higher low from here, right? Then your risk to reward is excellent, and this is starting to look at bullish as well as the 200-day rising. So I think that you can easily manage risk against the low of this day right there, around $80 or so. That's DoorDash again, and that makes a very good reward to risk. GitLab, GTLB. Here is GitLab, and it was $135 stock, went all the way down to 26, and then it's basing here. You have this flat-ish 200-day. It just had earnings. Earnings were very good. You see how strong that was, and now you have these moving averages that are starting to align in a much more bullish fashion. Again, and straight across, you can see this area right there. We could even make it just maybe a little bit bigger right there, right? So it's now starting to consolidate within this interesting area as these moving averages start to align, break out above, 54, 80-ish, $55, something around there. And that's the place to manage risk against. OWL. This is some kind of finance company. Again, I'm not real too familiar with them. Again, it was a SPAC. Usually don't show SPACs on this one, but this one was interesting. Again, for the same reason of it's got bunched up moving averages and it's starting to align bullishly. It's around $12 stock, and go up a little bit. It's not gonna be your fastest mover, but it's trying to base out. If it gets above, this 1350-ish area, then things can go much faster. It's an interesting name, not my favorite. AXNX, AXNX. So here's one. I'm going to throw a VWAP right here from his earnings, because this is a style that I like, a place I like to look at the VWAP. There we go. So it gapped up, came back, closed the gap, 50 held, 50 basically is holding again here. I like this one if it retakes the VWAP. So if it gets above 59.01, 59.01, somewhere around there, that is, for me, the place where I think a long could be initiated. Again, there's your 200, there's your 50, everything is kind of in the same general area. So again, a retake of 59, that's where I'd go. And right now, the 50-day seems to be at least the important moving average. And that's where I would manage risk against anything below the 50-day, and I'd be out. So this is AXNX, a pretty good looking name right there. Again, as it tries to make its turn. KNF. This is Knife River, newer IPO name, right? And if you put a VWAP from when it started trading, you see that it's it's above the VWAP from IPO. And it's kind of got this area right now that seems to be important, right? And that's right where the 50-day is. So if it could break out and kind of start moving higher here, it looks pretty good, right? I'm not sure what they do, non-energy minerals. Not even sure what that is, what that means. But you kind of see it's kind of, it's got all these wicks up here, right? So it's kind of got to contend with this area as well. So it's in a range, let it base out. And there you go. It's a good looking name, brand new name, lots of accumulation showing up on the chart. What's not to like? Duolingo. Well, I spelled it wrong. DUOL. There's Duolingo. And I felt like it was getting kind of wide and loose in here. And it still has a little bit of that wide and loose pattern, but it's also forming, I think, right here. It has this little kind of double bottom look to it, right? Coming back up. We have moving averages starting to align, some decent accumulation volume, showing back up again. Yeah, it's not doing anything wrong. Again, this is nice, not a bad double bottom, right? You have this, and then you have this, undercut, came back, reclaimed, very, very distinct. I haven't said like that, right? Very, very distinct neckline. Looks good. Maybe it's an inverse head and shoulder. It needs one more, right? So your double bottom could turn into an inverse head and shoulder. That's a possibility, right? So just don't buy it blindly. But that's looking pretty good. SFM, Sprouts Farmers Market. I mean, just nice uptrend, broke out of this kind of VCP style pattern. You see the higher lows all the way, and it's still an uptrend, right? It won't be your fastest name, right? But it's looking pretty good. Maybe it's got some sort of, I won't call this a cup and handle, but if it can get back above, $40, looks pretty good. If it can't get above $40, I don't want to be involved in this name at all, right? So $40 is where my stop would be. And the last one is Bellringer brand, BRRR. These are the people that make energy bars and other things like that, protein stuff. And you can see it that it kind of broke out of this general area. I'm not sure why I have my thing going back this far. Anyway, you see it broke out of this consolidation and just moves higher. Now it's flagging. You kind of see how the flag is kind of like this. Again, tried to move higher, couldn't, but it went from 35 to 42. That's a nice gain right there. About 20% move. Now here comes the consolidation. I think it's got to hold, the 23-day EMA, which is at 39.66. So a reward to risk, if you want to get in early, I definitely use that as my stop right there. Or if not, you wait for a little break of the trend line, and then I think it can make its next move higher. Okay. So there you go. There's 12 names, a dozen names, potential names. I do a special stocks to watch for my subscribers where I give, about 40 or 50 names. I also do a focus list, which is my best 5 names overall. If you're interested, catch me on Twitter at AlphaCharts365. Hit subscribe button. I don't think you'll be disappointed. Okay. Hope y'all are doing great. Good luck this week.